Well, this week, Africa is celebrating. The continent is observing the 50th anniversary of the formation of the Organization of African Unity, or AU, which a decade ago became the African Union. As African leaders meet in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at the end of the week to map out the agenda for the next 50 years, extreme poverty of most of its citizens and poor state of human rights and democratic rights on the continent leave critics wondering what the African Union has achieved in the past 50 years. For some thoughts on that, we are joined in the studio by Ambassador Amina Salum Ali, the African Union Ambassador to the United States. Welcome to Africa 54, Madam Ambassador.
Thank you so much.
Now, this is a big moment for the continent of Africa. From the African Union perspective, very briefly, what is seen as the greatest thing that is being celebrated now at 50?
Well, first of all, this week is very, very critical for us. And it really reminds us of what we did in the past. And also to pave the way for the next 50 years. Yes. And we have a target of 2063. 2063, we want Africa to be the next growth pole in terms of economic development. Mm-hmm. The question comes, what are you celebrating? Exactly. The 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
There are so many things to celebrate about, but the first one I can say, peace and security. Mm-hmm. African Union, we need to have a peace and security architecture that really help us to bring in reconciliation and bring in a peaceful situation, yeah, and encourage other people to
and you know what, I have to kind of interrupt a little bit there. When you talk about peace and security, people will tell you, hey, look at DRC Congo conflict has been going on forever. Look at the situation in Sudan, in Somalia, in Mali, and many other countries. Where is that peace and security?
Actually, 15 years ago, we had more than 14 countries under conflict situation. Most of West African countries, if you remember, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and others. But now we have isolated cases, and we know the reason why this country, they don't really achieve. For instance, Darfur in Sudan and Southern Sudan. Mm-hmm. African Union, we have been working with them. We have a panel of high level, including our former president. That's why we saw Southern Sudan be able to be independent, and therefore things are because of that.
In many situations, people tend to see that the African Union is always looking outwards, looking to the West, for instance, or now even to the East to find solutions to their problems. And people wonder, what does that tell about the continent 50 years after independence?
That's why I said we are now paving the way for the next 50 years.
Any lessons learned in the last 50 years?
And we have learned a lot of lessons from the past. Yeah. Let me give you an example. In terms of industrialization, in terms of using our own resources, in terms of looking at the partner who come to Africa to invest, mm-hmm, bearing in mind our own interest, in terms of looking at what the problem, job is the problem for our young people. What do we do with our young people? Train them to be able to be employed in those areas. Mm-hmm. So we are really moving toward a new platform.
Yeah, we are seeing the youth of Africa looking totally ahead and almost moving ahead of the current leaders. Is there recognition in the continent that the current leaders of Africa are not really keeping up with the speed at which the world is moving?
Now, if you remember, we had a meeting in Equatorial Guinea, I think 2-3 years ago, and the theme was youth and employment training and things like that. So African Union, we are working together with our leaders to be able really to give our youth a chance to be becoming the good citizen. And also, if you look at some countries, I mean, they vary from one country to the other. Some countries are really doing very well in terms of giving their young people opportunity for development. I can give you many examples. And some other countries, because of structural problem in their economy, this is a problem for everybody in the country. But through partnership with other institutions, with other partners, they are also focusing on the issue of the youth. Because why? They know youth is a time bomb.
Yes.
Just waiting to tick. So we are aware of that.
And they're watching you and listening to you. So we're hoping we won't be talking this way. Another decade from now, Africa will have moved many steps ahead. Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. Ambassador Amina Salum Ali is the African Union Ambassador to the United States.